it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So again, looking at Shattered. I'm loving this book. So there's another insight in regards to the behavior of Sanders. At least what's going on in him as he's doing all this stuff. Because understand, we're looking at this stuff from the outside in. And all of us are criticizing. All of us are complaining. Why on earth is Sanders helping this person? The people that cheated him. Why is he doing this? This is mental to us. Now, we understood that he didn't want to be Ralph Nader. Fair enough. But understanding he doesn't want to be Ralph Nader in no way gives us context to what he's feeling, if that makes sense. Because either one or two things are true. Either he's being completely craven, and he's literally just functioning as a sellout. I only entered this race to sheep herd people into the Democratic Party at the end of a process in which I knew I was going to lose. That's a gross, vulgar portrayal. But there are some people who have that belief. I don't have that belief at all. The second belief is, I'm going to do my damnedest to win, but I don't want to see Trump get elected, and I don't want to function as Ralph Nader. If the latter is true, which, based on this book, it is. The latter is true. The latter is what I've always believed. You can understand the soul-crushing impact of having to associate yourself with somebody who you knew cheated you, right? Like, ultimately, yes, they're politicians, but being politicians don't mean they're not human beings. And yes, some of these people are more craven than others. But the thing that gets Sanders the most credit is earnestness. Meaning, how he functions is just how he functions. One of those guys mentioned, he said Sanders was always the easiest senator to work with because whatever you wanted to know, he'd just tell you what he wanted. This is what I want. There's no gamesmanship. This is what I want. I am trying to accomplish this objective. You can help me or you're not, but this is what I'm trying to accomplish. In this particular case, the fact that he screamed for a political revolution, he wanted that political revolution. He full well understood that he had millions of people who wanted the political revolution with him and was marching for that political revolution with him, sending their money and everything else. And to understand that he was cheated, which he understood, he was being cheated. One of the reasons why he was so antagonistic with Schultz was because he realized she was putting her thumb on the scale. Now, he didn't want to call out cheating because he didn't want to get tarred as being, oh, yeah, dude, you're just saying that because you're, a poor loser and all this other stuff. But that doesn't necessarily mean he didn't realize what was going on. So understand the political difficulty of standing on stage with somebody who lied about you, who put stories out in the newspaper against you, who misrepresented your particular record, and who ultimately, functioning with their party, cheated you and the millions of people who were supporting you. And then ultimately, in the end, because you yourself said, I don't want to be Ralph Nader, and I will support the Democratic Party if I lose. You have to turn around and support that machine, that grotesque goblin of a machine that did that to you. That's not easy. That's not easy. So this idea of calling him a sellout is too strong to me. Like I've always said, that was too strong. Sheepdog, yeah, that is literally what's taking place. Sheep herder, yes, that is literally what's taking place. But a sellout has a very different connotation associated with it. I think I might have joked and said, I fucking love Sanders even when he's being a sellout. That's me being flippant. Ultimately, his actions, I thought his actions were based off of just being a person. Shattered gives some of the feelings that are going on in this particular context. So Sanders had a conversation with somebody who was close to. He didn't fully understand all of the items associated with being in a presidential election. And understand, he started from squat. Hillary Clinton had everything on her side. He had nothing. He didn't even have a place to announce originally of where he was going to essentially give his announcement that he was running for president. It was an amazing thing. The idea that this guy who had no money, no name recognition, the guy he had to run his campaign, Jeff Weaver, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly, was working in a comic book shop. He's like the owner of a comic book shop. This is the spit and polish, duct tape campaign of Bernie Sanders. And that spit and polish, duct tape campaign nearly toppled Hillary Clinton, the most well-established candidate in the history of the Democratic Party. And not just that, if it wasn't for the cheating, he likely would have, and he damn sure would have won that election. if he was going up against Trump. Now, knowing this, and certainly he hasn't noticed, he's a person. He is a person. I don't necessarily have two-dimensional ideas in my head of people. I have this fully fleshed out idea of people. I assume they're similar to me. They have certain aspirations, wishes, wants, things that they want to accomplish. I assume the same for even people I don't particularly like. I think they have incentives to doing the things that they do. Now, those incentives can be vulgar, meaning over the top, or those incentives can be somewhat muted, but those incentives are still there. The same thing applies to Sanders. Ultimately, if he lost the election, what he wanted was to increase his profile in the Senate, meaning even though he was a marginalized socialist, to some degree, it burned in him. It burned him. There are things that he wanted to accomplish. There are things that he wanted to do. There are issues that he wanted to raise to the American consciousness. Being marginalized as the socialist, as the independent, as the guy from tiny Vermont, doesn't allow him to put those things on the agenda. Even if you lose a presidential campaign, the profile increases. Now, in this particular case, that's essentially what took place. Interesting enough, there's a scene in this particular book where the Hillary Clinton campaign comes to him and says, "We have an ad that we want you to read." Sanders agrees. Now, he agrees because he had already said before, "I will help you any way possible to win the election." To the street. Look, against, all the progressives who screamed and bitch and moan about it, myself being one of them. "Yes, I will help you. I told you I will help you. Yes, I'm going to do it." And he goes to cut the TV spot. This is the TV spot. It's amazing. And in fact, even the outcome of this is amazing, because I want to talk about the outcome and why this was a mistake on Hillary's part. So essentially the guy comes and sits down. He says, "Here's the script." But the final words on the page, it says, "Once inside, Bernie and Devine went through a routine that had become familiar over the years. Bernie, wearing a blue dress shirt, open at the collar, sat down in a chair in the living room, in front of a brown leather couch and sun-filled window. As Devine filmed, Bernie stopped from time to time to rewrite the script in his own voice. He was okay with the main thrust of the spot. He would say Hillary was good on education, healthcare, minimum wage, and that Trump was wrong on climate change and the economy. No big deal. But the final words on the page, 'I'm with her,' were too much. They were too much. Bernie couldn't bring himself to say them. 'It's so phony,' he griped. 'I don't want to say that.' So he didn't say that. But he did do a bunch of different takes, not just on the main spot, but on narrow topics that one could use for digital advertising. This is amazing. So it's like, yes, I would help her out, but there is a level that I can't go. My dignity just doesn't allow me to go. But so far, that's amazing. I love that. I love that. Usually we see politicians just being completely shameless. When Ted Cruz, Donald Trump said Ted Cruz's dad helped kill Kennedy or something. Some weird out there, just outrageous stuff. He cracked on the man's wife, calling the wife ugly and everything else. Ted Cruz was sitting out there phone banking for Donald Trump under a sign that said Trump repents. Shame is not necessarily something that politicians deal with. That being said, this was too much. This was too much. So, as it goes on, another couple of weeks pass before Margolis delivers some bad news to Devine. Hillary's campaign wasn't going to use the ad at all. Her consultants had asked voters what they thought of Bernie's ad. Voters liked it, Margolis explained. But some of them raised doubts about whether Bernie fully supported Hillary. That wasn't shocking, Devine thought, because undecided voters, making the focus groups so late in the campaign, are generally pretty skeptical of politicians. Why else would they be undecided in October of an election year? He understood that there were a lot of cooks in the kitchen of Hillary's campaign and that the data drove a lot of the decision making. But still, killing an ad with Bernie endorsing Hillary at a time when she was struggling to energize his base was a real head scratcher. And I would make the point, it's a horrible, horrible decision. Now, but understand why they made it. I imagine that, and think of it from their situation. You do an ad, Sanders ran the campaign, they loved the man. The man's approval rating was through the roof. Sanders was beating her by like 80% in regards to kids, youth. Now those people know what took place in the primaries. Those people know that Sanders made a really big sticking point of, if she's taking all of this money, certainly she's going to have to give favors back for that money. They're not giving you that money for no reason. That money is an investment. This is not coming out the kindness of their heart. This is coming because they want something in return. Now, if you're making that argument, and that argument is just it's just true. It's just true. Like, it's common sense. There's no conceptual leap to get to that. You're paid for a particular task. He's making this argument saying she's paid for a particular task. What do you think she's going to do for that money? In addition to making that particular argument, that very pointed argument, Sanders was very clear on the things that he wanted and the things that he espoused. There was no uncertainty at all. He has a 40, 50-year track record of espousing those things. The man calls himself a socialist. Now, that guy is doing a spot for Hillary Clinton. If you're somebody who loves Sanders, let's say you're an independent, you're not a Democrat. If you're a Democrat, you're going to love the ad. Let's say you're an independent. You're part of the youth vote. You're part of the progressives, the base, that doesn't like your candidate. Those progressives look at that ad and say, yeah, it's Sanders, I like him, but, oh man, I don't like him doing that for her. And not just that, he's just doing this because it's politics. Yes, that's true. He is doing it because it's politics. Those people full well know that those quantities are different. They full well understand those quantities are different. This man screamed in every mic he can find that he wants a political revolution. This other person whispered into every mic that she's perfectly okay with status quo, and this is going to be Obama 2.0. There's a drastic disparity between those two things. That is obvious. That is the obvious. You only have to look at Tom Perez and Bernie Sanders side by side to see that there's a massive disparity between a regular Democrat and Bernie Sanders. Now, Hillary may have looked at that and thought, yeah, I don't like what these people are thinking when they're looking at this. This doesn't look right. This looks as if we're forcing him to do this. Or this looks purely for political expedience. The point I'm making is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I've met people who said, yes, I don't like Hillary Clinton. No, I don't want to vote for a Democrat. But God damn it, Bernie Sanders said vote for Hillary, which means that Trump is the greater evil. Meaning they voted for a candidate almost entirely because Sanders wanted them to vote for a candidate. Yes, those people may have recoiled at this particular video, but there was going to be a percentage that would have said, I don't want to do this, but okay, Sanders is asking me to do it. The percentage that look at that and recoil, you weren't going to get their vote anyway. That vote is irrelevant to you. You weren't going to get it. There's no situation where you were going to get everybody's vote. What you're looking to do is to maximize the number of people you're going to get versus minimizing the number of people you're not. I don't know anybody who would look at an ad like that and say to themselves, I'm not voting for Hillary Clinton now because Bernie Sanders supported Hillary Clinton. I don't know anybody who would do that. I do know people who would grudgingly vote for Hillary Clinton because Bernie Sanders wanted them to do it. And ultimately, you still have Bernie Sanders, as popular as he is, saying your name and essentially saying vote for this person. It is a bad idea to not take them up on that. This book is fascinating. These little insights into things that they were thinking of at the time of the campaigns and the reason why they made some of these decisions is absolutely fascinating. I'm going to continue reading through this. Anytime I find little insights or nuggets, I'm going to probably bring it up and put it in one particular playlist. Alright guys, if you enjoy the content, feel free to like the video, subscribe, and you can always support the work through Patreon. Thanks guys.